All right, you guys, let me just first start off by apologizing for my voice. I don't feel the best, but I love you guys and I'm going to get you a video. Let's talk about it.
In the past, I'm in the future. You mad, they don't salute you. I need a bag.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishan and I make videos on lifestyle, insurance, and mental health. I also do vlogs, a day in the life in the insurance industry, day in the life of the toddler, all the things. So if that's something that interests you, go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Be sure to turn on your notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for your support. Okay, so today I wanted to do kind of like a different type of video, still about insurance, but I wanted to talk about just ways to move up quickly. Like if you're in claims and you're like, claims really isn't for me, and you want to move throughout the insurance industry, I'm going to give you some tips that I have actually used to kind of move around. Obviously, I'm still in claims, but I use these to move up like from auto into field and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to give you guys some tips because I'm actually in the process of doing some of these things right now to get into another department. So if you are interested, if you are in this position, or if you're just curious, definitely go on ahead and stay tuned. So as I said, this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm actually working. I'm in the middle of the workday. The reason why I didn't film this in my normal setup in the room is because like my throat was just out of control. So I figure, you know what? I'll just talk to you guys in my element. So I'm going to, address some claims, and then I have my notes over here on the tips that I want to give you guys. They're very practical, like very simple. So, nothing too crazy, but just things that have actually helped me. So with that being said, if you see me looking over here, my computer and my notes are over here. The first tip I have for you is to get really good and efficient at your current role. People, I think, sometimes underestimate like how important this is. Nobody's going to consider you for another role doing something else if you can't even do the job that you're in right now. So that's why my goal is to always, I go above and beyond, making sure that I still take care of myself in the midst. I make sure I go above and beyond. I make sure that I am an expert at what I'm doing right now. So in this particular position, I try to be very resourceful. If you don't know, if you're new, I'm a field adjuster in the homeowner's property department for an insurance company. So there's always a lot to learn. I make sure that I use the resources that they give us. So before I ask questions, I'll use the resources. I will kind of play on different things that I've learned working in the industry, because I've been doing this particular job I've done for about 3 to 4 years, but I've been insurance altogether for 7 years. I will ask questions when I'm, stumped about something or when something new comes up. I just try to make sure that I am the best I can be at the current job that I'm in. So then when it's time for me to, even think about looking at something else, nobody's going to say, oh, well, you need to work on what you got going on here first. You can't say that because I do what I got to do in this job. So that's something that you just really want to keep in mind. You never want to be looked at as a slacker. Even I have a mindset of work smarter, not harder. So I'm not saying to just, use all your energy or whatever, but you definitely want to make sure that you have processes in place to keep you efficient, keep you up to date on, different changes and trends in the industry, things like that. And just make sure that you are one of those employees that they don't have to worry about. That's going to be my very, very first tip. All right, you guys, tip number 2, kind of piggybacking off of being efficient in your job and being one of the best, be a student of the game. The way I operate and the reason why I'm able to, kind of work on a bunch of different types of situations, the way I'm able to just kind of move is I make sure that I'm studying everything. So I look at, for example, in this job, I look at the things that the emergency services companies do, and I'll even ask them questions to try to get a better idea of what they're looking at, what they're seeing when they go inside of these homes. I work with the contractors. I get to know them to try to see what they have going on when they go inside of these homes and when they're looking at these claims. I try to get an idea of what things look like from their point of view because it helps me to be a better adjuster. Also, I bounce a lot of ideas off of my coworkers and my manager. So if there are situations that I've never been through or situations where I'm like, okay, I would do it like this, how would you do it? There's this thing with claims. The reason why it's such a tough job is because there's no one way to do stuff. Really the biggest thing is as long as you get to this answer, no matter how you do it, as long as you're working within compliance and all that stuff, it's usually good. But for new adjusters, they're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? What's acceptable? What's not? So I make sure when I'm looking at estimates, for example, supplements, when a contractor sends me over a counter estimate, I'm looking at the things that they have listed in there. And if there's a question that I have, on why something's needed to complete the repairs, I ask them. Because as an adjuster, I have my guidelines, but then the contractor's like, okay, that's cool, but I can't do it for this because I have to do A, B, and C. So I need to understand that from their point of view so I can not only make my boss happy, but so I can make the contractor and the customer happy. So I basically just try to make sure that I'm trying to understand where everyone is coming from so I can make good notes and really take care of people. It's hard as an adjuster. I'm not a contractor, so I don't know the ins and outs. I know surface level, how to build, rooms, how to put back together drywall and stuff like that. But sometimes I need the expertise of my contractor, to be able to give me that information on what needs to be done to put it back together so I can explain why I need to pay so much money. Or using emergency services. I don't know how many machines it takes to dry, a structure. So sometimes I need to speak with them to kind of figure out what the thought process is. And I use that information on future claims. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to do research. Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend, really. If you just need to figure out something. I can't tell you how many times there's been something I didn't understand and there's no one available. So I'll just hop on YouTube or Google, have them explain it to me, and then, I'm good to go. So just always be a student, always be willing to learn, and always kind of know your resources so you know where you can look if there's no one to turn to. All right, y'all. So I had to actually stop for a little bit, work, and then come back to the video. But my next tip is to let it be known, to your management and to your higher ups that you're looking to get to the next level. So what I mean by that, you have to be very strategic. So don't tell them that you hate your current role, even if you do. When I'm talking to my manager, I'm not telling him that I simply hate my job, which, if I'm going to be completely honest, right now, I kind of do. But I kind of phrase it in a way I am wanting to get to the next role. I feel like I've done what I can do in claims, and I'm looking to go into SIU. I'm looking to go into training, things like that. So talk about the places that you want to go. One thing that I've kind of seen from this, especially in just different jobs, and even with this one, is when you let your managers know kind of what you're thinking, they like to see that you're thinking long term and that you're not thinking about jumping ship, even if you are, but you're looking to, advance. One, it makes them look good when you advance. That is just, it's a known thing. If you move up to manager or you move up, to another department or whatever, it's showing that they're good enough as far as being a manager, that they're nurturing you to, do well in your role and groom you to be able to succeed in other areas. So when you talk to your managers about these things, from my experience, it's been pretty exciting for them. And they're usually very helpful as far as trying to set you up with who you need to talk to and all that good stuff. So definitely make it known, yeah, I'm doing this job for now. I want to do a good job, but I'm looking at this department, eventually. So kind of talking to your manager, keeping them informed of, just kind of what you've been looking at. Let them know if you've seen anything that, you think that that you would be a good fit for, or get their kind of take on it. Because moving internally also, most times they're going to reach out to your manager. So for me, I like to kind of put my manager on notice. So if there is something that I need to work on, he or she can let me know right then and there, as opposed to, the other manager calling them to find out, how I work. And then I get blindsided by the manager saying oh, she ain't ready. Hold up, what you mean I'm not ready? So make sure that your manager knows kind of what you're looking to do. And I feel it kind of it opens up those lines of communication, and it just can kind of set you up for success if you do it the right way. All right, you guys. So lastly, outside of talking to your manager and telling him or her that you're interested in moving to another department or up in the company, I would suggest asking to go on ride-alongs or asking to shadow people that do the job that you're looking to do. So this is twofold. One, you're showing interest in wanting to move around the company. So similar to my third tip, you're just kind of letting them know hey, I'm in this for the long haul. Again, even if you're not, it's about the optics. You want to make it seem like you are trying to stay, and you're willing to kind of move around and just be a more well-rounded employee, right? So doing the shadows and the ride-alongs, it'll also give you an opportunity to see actual people doing that role, see what their day-to-day looks like, and see if you even actually want to do that position. I can say I've had 2 situations where I've done ride-alongs. The first time when I did the field adjuster ride-along, I was kind of on the fence, this is a lot. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, a lot, but I ended up, overcoming, and now I know what I'm doing. But for a long time I struggled. I've told you guys that in previous videos. So Like initially I was like, yeah, I don't know. But then I decided to go on ahead and challenge myself and, just kind of take on the position. Now, there was another role that I had shadowed for, which was like a liability adjuster role. I did not like that, just like what I saw. This was at like a previous carrier though. I didn't like the way they worked. I didn't like the way they sat on the phones. Like I didn't like their setup. Like I was like, okay, in total loss. I was like, I'll just stay here until I find something else. So doing those ride-alongs is just really helpful because again, it gives you insight into like what's going on, gives you the opportunity to talk to actual employees that are doing it so you can ask like the serious questions. I feel like when you talk to managers, like they're gonna give you information, but sometimes it's a little bit like PG. They're not gonna like tell you all the nuances. They're gonna big it up because they're trying to fill their roles, right? But when you talk to actual employees, like if you come talk to me about what's going on, I'm gonna tell you, apply at your own risk. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's good to like get actual information from people that are doing the job. You know what I'm saying? You can get like real life experience and then decide, okay, is this something that I want to try for myself? Or is this something that I want to just table and then figure out another department? So definitely be open to doing shadows and doing ride-alongs. And a lot of times your managers are able to kind of set that up for you, especially like if they know a manager in a different department and stuff like that. Like my manager, he knows a lot of managers in large lots. And he also knows managers in SIU. So he's already told me that if I want to do something like that, he can set me up with the people that I would need to talk to that would kind of, get me in if need be. So yeah, kind of keep those things in mind and just be willing to kind of like get out there and see exactly what you be doing before you, interview and sign on the dotted line. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. That's all I have for you today. All in all, I just want to make sure that we have practical tools to be able to move up. I think sometimes when we are like in the midst of going through like a tough time at work, you just feel stuck. Like I felt that way too. I've actually felt that way recently. But then I really just had to kind of think about like what were the steps I took in previous jobs to like get to the next step, get to another department, get to some place where I'm actually like happy doing my job, And these were like the practical steps that I took. So because I just had this revelation, honestly, I wanted to kind of put it into like a step-by-step digestible video for you guys. And I hope that it could help somebody, hope it could speak to somebody, especially if you're going through the same thing as me right now. Of course, I'm getting a call. But if you enjoyed this video, definitely go on ahead and give me a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you have not already subscribed, definitely go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And with that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.
Future, you mad? They don't salute you. I need a bag, size is super. They turned your bag, it's like I never knew you.